Welcome in to Extreme Talk, presented by Complete Real Estate, where experience and integrity matters. Want to give a big thank you to them for sponsoring the show all season long, and also a big thank you to Sutton Pools LLC for sponsoring our interviews all season long. I had some good ones this year with coaches, people around the game of eight-man football, and we're not done with the interviews yet. We're just in a really busy season as we come to the end of the season, and then the playoffs coming up. And as you can see on the screen, the last couple of weeks we've been talking about playoff scenarios. Some have sorted themselves out. Some have yet to be determined, and so we'll dig into that today. I also want to give a big thank you to Fairlife Core Power Protein for helping us recognize athletes every single week. An offensive and a defensive athlete who have had a phenomenal game the previous week. And so real quick, I want to run through and talk about the two young men that won last week. Your offensive player of the week is Trip Roberts out of Sherwood Christian in Georgia. And on not just past Friday night, but the Friday night before that, Trip and Sherwood, I almost said Shiloh because that's the name of the school and facing the Giants. Sherwood's the school that they use. But going into that game, Sherwood and Trip were undefeated going into a game against Westwood. And Trip had an absolutely great game. He only completed 48% of his passes for 130 yards, but it was for 2 touchdowns. Then he added 15 carries, 180 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So 6 total touchdowns. And Sherwood wins it 40-30. We talked about that score last week. But Trip Roberts accounting for 36 of the Eagles' 40 points. And so congratulations to him for being voted Offensive Player of the Week. And then down in Augusta, Georgia, Nathan Whiting from the Augusta Eagles. They were in a battle with Georgia School for the Innovations and Classics. They're out of the Southern Independent Football Association. And final score there, we talked about it last week, 6-0 final there. But what a game from Nathan. 13 tackles, 11 of them being solo, 2 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble. And I mentioned the final score on that one, 6-0. GSIC gets the win there. But a great showing from Nathan and from the Eagles there, especially defensively. Let me pull up real quick, and it doesn't sound impressive, but let me pull up the opposing quarterback was nominated for Offensive Player of the Week. Nehemiah Easter out of from GSIC. He went 58% for 260 yards, and then 7 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown. So that was the quarterback that Nathan and Augusta was playing, and then they kept them. That's 320 yards of offense, held him to 1 touchdown. So great defensive showing from the Eagles and from Nathan. But congratulations to him and Trip being named Offensive and Defensive Players of the Week, respectively. And again, a big thank you to Fairlife Core Power Protein for helping us recognize those athletes. All right, let's run through the scores. There's a lot of them. There is a lot from this past weekend. Teams coming out of fall break. I mentioned playoff spots kind of being finalized. A couple of them still up in the air just a little bit, but we're coming up last week of October. A lot of places start the playoffs first week of November. A couple places are different, like here in Tennessee, in the SEC, and we'll get to it. But playoffs start this upcoming Friday. The season has flown by. Playoffs start this upcoming Friday, and we've got 3 rounds of the playoffs there. I believe, I know Louisiana, their championship is this Saturday. We'll get to that. So, some conferences a little bit earlier than others. Just depends on how many rounds you have and your schedule. But let's run through it real quick. Let's start in the ACSC. A couple huge matchups there in Alabama. First off, I completely forgot to do this. Before we even dig into the scores, now that I said Alabama, this reminded me. For all my Alabama friends who are Alabama fans, everyone knows that I bleed orange. I'm currently wearing the orange hat and the orange Crocs. And so if you lost this past weekend, this past Friday night, I don't mean to absolutely rub it in, but for the rest of us football fans, on behalf of us, on behalf of Tennessee fans, going to do something a little bit different here on the show today. And I would like to celebrate yesterday, so if you will indulge me. Wish that I was on old Rocky Top down in the Tennessee hills. Ain't no smoky smoke on Rocky Top. Ain't no telephone bills. I'm sorry, it's smoggy smoke. Rocky Top, you'll always be home, sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top. Woo! Rocky Top, Tennessee. Thank you for indulging me on that. That was very, very fun. And yes, it is smoggy smoke. Okay. All right. Anyways, back to the scores. So, Friday night in the ACSC had a couple great matchups. And again, playoff implicating matchups. Southern Christian hosting Ezekiel Academy. Of course, Southern Christian coming into the game at, let me see if I pull this. They were 0-2 coming in. Ezekiel Academy 1-2, so big implications here in terms of 3 or 4. And Southern Christian gets the win 48-14 in that one. They are now 1-2. Ezekiel's 1-3. And Southern Christian, one more game left to play to try and they'll probably end up 2-2. They'll probably get that 3 seed. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. The other matchup, very highly anticipated between 2 unbeaten teams in 8-man, East Central and Evangel Christian. Longtime rivalry for both of these teams, and Evangel at home just handled the ball game. 57-25 final score there. Lightning lock up the number 1 seed in the ACSC playoffs. East Central currently will have the number 2 seed. And then Southern Christian, of course, the best they can do is 2-2. We'll talk about that here in just a second. But let's keep it moving in terms of scores. Let's go down to the AISA. And shout out to AISA. All scores reported here at the time of doing the show. So big shout out to you guys. Cross-conference game between Russell Christian. They are hosting North River Christian from the AISA. And Russell Christian wins 68-8 against the Chargers. Springwood School hosting Macon East. This was a huge game in the AISA between essentially the number 2 seed and the number 3 seed. And Macon East has a game coming up with the number 1 seed, but Springwood gets it done. They give Macon East their first 8-man loss of the year, 85-54. Wildcats with the win at home. Hey, look, Springwood's nothing to mess around with. They've lost a couple games, in fairness, but they're nothing to mess around with. Lakeside School at Coosa Valley. Lakeside gets the win, 46-6, and they pick up a win there in conference play to help their playoff positioning. Southern Prep hosting Meadowview Christian. Southern Prep 66-18 win over Meadowview, and they get to 500 on the season. Cornerstone Christian Columbiana on the road in Montgomery to take on Evangel Christian. This one was actually a good game. 34-26 was the final. Cornerstone gets the win. They were leading 20-6 at halftime. Evangel Christian, though, outscored them in the third quarter 14-6, making it a 26-20 game, and then a touchdown for each in the fourth quarter. But the 2-touchdown lead at the end of the first quarter for Cornerstone was just too much for Evangel to overcome. And so final score there, like I said, 34-26. Chargers get the win in conference play, and they are still unbeaten with a huge game coming up next week against Macon East. Let's move over to the CFA, the Christian Football Association, out of the Alabama Christian Alabama Christian Athletic Association. Mentioned Russell Christian hosting North River Christian, Tuscaloosa Christian hosting Victory. This was for essentially for the 3 and 4 spot there in their playoffs. It was going to have huge implications on that one. Tuscaloosa handles it 40-16, taking care of getting the win there. And then Tabernacle hosting Trinity Christian Homeschool, still looking for their first win of the year. And Tabernacle 38-12 gets the win, gets their second win of the year. So congratulations to the Torches on that one. Let's see. Let's go to South Carolina. Let's talk a little SCISA football. Kings Academy and Conway Christian. Let me see if I can find a score on that one because that was not reported. Do 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 do. Let's see if they've got a score on that one. Okay, the Kings Academy, 61-24 win. You know what, we're going to go ahead and punch that into Max Preps here, do our part of providing scores. So the Kings Academy with the win over Conway Christian, 61-24. Lawrence Academy hosting Newberry. Lawrence gets the win, 36-6 there. Wardlaw and WW King Academy. Wardlaw, I don't have the quarter by quarter breakdown. They won at 34-26 on the road, but the WW King Academy 1-5 coming into the game. Wardlaw 5-1. You wouldn't have thought it'd be that close, but it was. One score game, 34-26. And that one, Wardlaw gets the win, moves to 6-1. Holly Hill Academy, they were hosting Cathedral Academy. This is a huge matchup in Skeesa. Cathedral coming in at 7-1. Holly Hill at 6-1. Holly Hill gets the win, 64-26. And they move to 7-1. Cathedral at 7-2. Let's go to the SIFA. Another huge matchup that we talked about last week, Pack Panthers and GSIC, Georgia School for Innovation in the Classics. Pack Panthers handle that game 60-6 win over the Patriots. They move to 9-1 on the season, still unbeaten in SIFA play. And then the Augusta Eagles hosting Citizens Christian on, I believe it was homecoming or senior night. Augusta, 40-13 win over Citizens, independent team out of Georgia. And then let me back up on Thursday night. Well, let me back up farther. Monday night, Augusta did not get a chance to play Carolina Wildcats. Wildcats have forfeited their season due to player injuries, and so Augusta credited with the win there on Monday night. And then Coastal Hurricanes, 64-8 win over Harvest Christian, and so Coastal Hurricanes get to 5-3 on the season. Let's go to North Carolina. Talk a little North Carolina 8-man. On Monday, Cary Christian supposed to host Father Campodano, but it's a forfeit win for Cary. And then on Friday, St. David's at Father Campodano. St. David's gets the win, 50-6. They get to 500 on the season. JP2 on the road at Berean Baptist, who are looking for their first win of the year. JP2 with a 55-12 win there. Faith Christian 62-41 over Rocky Mount Academy. A big rivalry game there in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Faith Christian moves to 6-3 on the season. Arundel Parrott 8-1. The one being the loss to Evangel Christian in Gatlinburg. Since then, they haven't lost. 54-0 win over Liberty Christian. Halifax Academy 48-20 over Lawrence Academy. Both teams now sitting at 3-6. Wayne Christian 21-12 win over Cary Christian. This was a great game. Cary coming in unbeaten at 6-0. Wayne Christian at 5-1, and a close one the entire game. The difference, a Wayne Christian touchdown in the third quarter. It was 13-12. They had the lead in the second quarter. First and fourth quarters, no scoring. Wayne again with a touchdown in the third quarter, and 9-point win there for Wayne Christian. Pungo Christian, 43-14 win over Northeast Academy, and Pungo moves to 7-1 on the year. Northeast looking for their first win of the season. Let's go to the Mid-South Christian Football League, wrapping up their regular season on Friday. Unity Christian hosting Faith Christian Homeschool, and Unity Christian gets their first win of the year, 6-0 over the Tornadoes. Pine Belt Spartans and Silva Bay was supposed to play. Don't see a score there on that one. And then Magnolia Wildcats supposed to be at Northeast Baptist. Northeast Baptist forfeits, so Magnolia gets the win there. And then yesterday, Slidell Homeschool Saints supposed to be taking on, it says, the Faith Explorers. And Slidell Homeschool Saints get there. They lost to the Faith Explorers, 46-34 win for the Explorers. And the Saints dropped to 1-7 on the season. Let's go to Georgia. Let's talk a little Georgia 8-man out of the GIAA. Let's start with Region 1. Monsignor Donovan Catholic hosting John Hancock. Don't have a score reported for that one. Harvester Christian hosting Covenant Academy. Harvester, a 42-6 win there. Holy Spirit Prep on the road at St. Mary's, 39-22. Holy Spirit Prep gets the win in that one. Let's go to GIAA Region 2. Vidalia Heritage, 40-20 win over Memorial Day. Georgia Christian stays unbeaten at 8-0 with a 41-8 win over David Emanuel. Westwood coming off the loss to Sherwood. They were on the road at Grace Christian, 57-14. Westwood gets the win. And then Sherwood stays unbeaten with a 48-14 win over Fullerton Academy. They are 6-0 on the season. Let's jump up to Tennessee and talk about the SEEC. Couple games happening Friday night, or a few games. Christian Community School at Chattanooga Patriots. I got to be at this one. This was a lot of fun to watch. Patriots, they were trading some licks. They were trading some punches, but Christian Community outscored them by 15 in the first quarter and 10 in the fourth quarter, and that was pretty much the difference, a 1-point difference in the third quarter. Both teams with 2 touchdowns in the second quarter. Christian Community gets to 500 with a 58-32 win over the Patriots, and they lock in their playoff position. Freedom Cowboys hosting Riverside Christian. Cowboys 58-32 win over the Knights. Knights finish the season at 1-7. Zion Christian hosting Lewis County High School, the JV team, and they got the Lewis County gets the 39-0 win against Zion Christian, an 11-man action. And then South Haven Christian on the road at Lancaster Christian. South Haven 52-20 win over the Knights, and they head into their first round bye of the playoffs. Let's talk about the Kansas Christian Athletic Conference. One game scheduled last week. Life Prep hosting KC East Lions. Life Prep 54-8 win over the Lions. Let's go to the Heartland Christian Conference. A few games scheduled there. Let's start on Thursday. Destiny Christian 62-22 win over Southwest Christian. You've got Abundant Life 68-14 win over Arkansas Christian. Abundant Life stays unbeaten on the season. And then Sunrise Christian 55-22 win over Faith Academy. Sunrise 6-1 this year. Yesterday, Cross Christian gets their first win of the year against the Cornerstone Spartans, who are looking for their first win of the year. Cross wins it 38-26 in the Heartland Christian Conference. So congratulations to them. First win of the year. Love to see it. Let's jump down to the state of Florida. Let's go through. We had games on 4 out of 5 nights last week. A lot of games being made up due to the storms that rolled through a couple weeks ago. On Monday, Donahue Catholic 44-6 over Geneva Classical. Ocala Christian stays unbeaten at 9-0 with a 28-6 win over Geneva Christian, I believe, or Geneva Academy. Riverside Christian gets to 500 with a 42-26 win over Cornerstone Academy. Foundation Christian 58-14 over Oasis, who is looking for their first win of the year. Eastland Christian 36-24 win over City of Life Christian, looking for their first win of the year as well. And then Lake Murray Prep gets to 500 with a 69-40 win over Real Life Christian. On Tuesday, the Masters Academy is 7-1 on the year with a 64-14 win over Four Corners. And Babcock 42-0 win over the Classical Academy of Sarasota, who is looking for their first win of the year. Now let's jump to Thursday. 2 games played there. Merritt Island Christian unbeaten at 8-0, taking on Geneva at Geneva. Merritt Island 39-0 win in that one. Countryside Christian hosting St. John Lutheran. Countryside 46-8 win in that one at home. And then Friday night had some games. Barn burner of a game, Lake Mary Prep hosting Donahue Catholic. Lake Mary Prep 29-28 win in that one. Geneva Classical 28-12 win over Academy at the Lakes. Real Life Christian 86-3 win over Cornerstone Academy. Masters Academy with a forfeit win over the Classical Academy of Sarasota. Florida School for the Deaf and Blind, they were in Washington, D.C. to take on Model Secondary School for the Deaf. And the Silent Dragons, 50-46 win in that one. Great ball game there. Love to see it. Shorecrest Prep 63-0 win over Tampa Slam Sports Leadership and Management Academy. Shorecrest Prep unbeaten on the year at 7-0. Canterbury 6-1 with a 28-8 win over Oasis Christian. All Saints Academy barn burner between them and City of Life Christian, 22-20. All Saints Academy gets the win, and then Ocala Christian unbeaten. We mentioned on the year, 30-7 win over Riverside Christian. So congratulations to all of them. Let's see who we got left. That was Georgia. That was Florida. Let's talk Virginia. A little Virginia 8-man action on Thursday. VES, Virginia Episcopal School, 18-7 win over Brunswick Academy, and Howard with a 38-32 win over Kinston Forest. Howard coming out of North Carolina. On Friday, Greenbrier Christian, 59-12 win over Fishburne Military. Chincoteague with a forfeit loss to the Covenant School. They forfeited the game. Covenant School moves to 7-1 on the season. And then Blessed Sacrament Huguenot, 48-15 win over Fuqua. And, Blessed Sacrament Huguenot, second win of the season. Huguenot. Yesterday had some games. Southampton at Broadwater Academy. Southampton 42-20 win there. Rappahannock County at Massanutten Military Academy. Got it. Bam. Nailed it. Rappahannock 68-14 win over MMA. We'll just call them MMA. How about that? Christchurch School at Mercersburg Academy. Mercersburg coming out of Pennsylvania, I believe. Yes, Pennsylvania. Christchurch School 40-0 win in that one. And then Randolph-Macon Academy hosting Quantico. Randolph-Macon with a 49-10 win in that one. All right. Let's see. Who am I missing? Let's go to Louisiana. Talk the ACEL. Couple playoff games happening in the ACEL a little bit earlier season for them. Acadiana Christian 36-0 win over Southwest Louisiana Homeschool. SWLA. Acadiana locks in their spot in the championship. And then JPG, John Paul the Great, 62-14 win over the North Shore Vultures. And so JPG locks in their spot in the championship. We'll get a rematch of last year. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. And then who we got left? We got Mississippi. Let's roll through Mississippi real quick. MAIS, not sure how many scores are reported. Porter's Chapel, 42-36 win over Wilkinson County Christian. Franklin Academy, Tensas Academy, no score. Calhoun and Lee, no score. Park Place Christian, 34-14 win over Kemper Academy. Marvell gets their first win of the year, 30-14 over Hebron Christian. Briarfield Academy, Union Christian, no score, and River Oaks and Tallulah, no score in either of those. And then let's look at MAIS 2A. Mentioned Park Place Christian and Kemper, Porter's Chapel and Wilkinson County. Newton County, 41-14 win over Christian Collegiate, no score in North Sunflower and Humphreys. Delta Academy, 36-28 win over Deer Creek. Prairie View Academy, 55-12 over Hillcrest Christian. Prairie View at 9-1. Ben's Ford Christian is 8-1 with a 62-34 win over Princess Christian. And then Christ Covenant and Discovery Christian, no score reported there. So I told you there was a whole lot of scores to get through. We got through all of them, and I'm going to step aside for just a minute. And then when I come back, we will talk about some playoff scenarios in all these different conferences. I might not hit all the conferences, but we'll hit the majority of them and kind of give a rundown on what it's looking like there. So hang tight for just a second, and we'll be right back. All right, and we're back. All right, so let's run through these playoff scenarios real quick. I've got several conferences listed, a couple of them coming up on the last week of the season, so we'll see if we can't figure out, kind of get an idea of what's going on. But let's start with the ones we do know for sure. Let's start in the CFA, the Christian Football Association. So, playoffs are locked in. First round is this Friday night. And here's what you've got. You've got Cornerstone Christian Rainsville. They are at Jacksonville Christian. Cornerstone finished at 3-3. Jacksonville Christian at 6-0. And Jacksonville just glad they didn't get Tuscaloosa at home again. We know how that went last year. But so Cornerstone Rainsville at Jacksonville Christian. And let me see if I can pull up what happened in that one. Let's see what happened there. And of course, anything can happen on a Friday night, but I am curious what the score was when those two played before. Let's see. Let's just look up. Let's look up Cornerstone Rainsville. So when they played, final score, it was at Cornerstone Rainsville, and Jacksonville Christian got the 51-31 win there. So 20-point win for the Thunder the first time these two teams played. And then the other playoff game happening in the CFA is Tuscaloosa Christian at Russell Christian. Tuscaloosa finishing at 4-2. Russell Christian finishing at 5-1. And Tuscaloosa, last time them and Russell played. See if I can pull up Russell's schedule real quick. Let's see. Let's pull up the full schedule here. So they played the 13th of September, and Russell got the 59-20 win over Tuscaloosa Christian. So it looks like we're on a collision course for a Jacksonville-Russell championship, which we got 2 years ago. Probably would have gotten last year if Jacksonville hadn't been upset by Tuscaloosa. We would have had that 3 years in a row. Russell, again, I don't know what they're doing in Meridian, but, man, they are just making championship games. This will be their 8th championship game in a row that they've played in, and they've won the last 7. So a lot of pressure there on Jacksonville to win there. Let's move to the ACSC, and let's talk about them. So I mentioned a little bit earlier when we were going over the scores. So Southern Christian has a game coming up with the Lighthouse Warriors. Everybody else is off this week. Evangel, East Central, and Ezekiel. Evangel finishes the season at 4-0 in conference play. East Central at 3-1. Ezekiel at 1-3. And then Southern Christian more than likely is going to go 2-2. I feel they're going to go 2-2, which will put them in the number 3 spot. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and change that on my page here. So they're 1-2. And then Ezekiel's 1-3. Southern Christian should get the win in that one. And they'll move to 2-2, which will mean, and not to get too far ahead, but that means we'll have a Southern Christian at East Central playoff game. And then we will also have a Ezekiel at Evangel in the first round of the playoffs. So Evangel and East Central could be, looks like they're going to meet again. It will be at Evangel again, but they will meet again. And we know how the first matchup went here this past Friday. We'll see what happens there. Let's move to the AISA. Let's stay in Alabama and go ahead and knock that out. So it's very, very interesting. The top 3 spots there in the AISA. So you've got Cornerstone currently right now at number 1 at 7-0. They have a game this weekend with Macon East. Springwood is at number 2 at 6-1. They have North River coming up. And then Macon East is also 6-1, but because of the loss to Springwood, that moves them to number 3. And they have, like I said, the game with Cornerstone Christian Columbiana coming up on Friday. Evangel Christian out of Montgomery, they are 4-3 on the season at the number 4 spot. Game against Lakeside School coming up on Friday. Speaking of Lakeside, they're 3-4. So this game Friday potentially would be for that. Yeah, it is. It would be for that number 4 seed, and then the other one would be for the number 5. The loser would probably end up number 5. Yes. Well, let me look up Southern Prep's schedule real quick. Because Southern Prep is at the number 6 spot, and they have finished their conference play at 4-4. So let me see, who did Southern Prep beat? So they beat Coosa Valley, they beat Lakeside. Okay, so Lakeside's who they beat. So they beat the teams at the bottom of the rankings: North River, Meadowview, and Coosa Valley. And then they did beat Lakeside, who's currently in the 5 spot. So, so if Lakeside wins, they'll be 4-4. Evangel will be 4-4. So Lakeside, and then Southern Prep. So if Lakeside wins, Southern Prep could jump up to the number 4 spot. Lakeside would stay at 5, and Evangel would jump down to 6. So Evangel and Southern would flop with a Lakeside win. Now, if Evangel wins, they go to 5-3. They stay at number 4. Southern Prep would jump Lakeside to the number 5 spot. Lakeside would go down to 6. And then at the 7 and 8 spot, you have Coosa Valley and Meadowview, because the AISA is taking the top 8. You have Coosa Valley and Meadowview, both at 1 and 6, playing on Friday. So winner will have the number 7 seed, loser will have the number 8. So really, and we don't even know yet, because between Springwood and Macon East, if Springwood beats Springwood will probably beat North River, be 7-1. So Cornerstone, Macon East. If Macon East beats Cornerstone, Springwood will jump to the number 1. Macon East will jump to the number 2. Cornerstone will fall to 3. No, let's see. Cornerstone would be 7-1. They beat Springwood. Springwood at 7-1 potentially beat Macon East, and then Macon East at 7-1 beat Cornerstone. So 3-way. So head to head wouldn't count. Let's look at AISA real quick. I'm curious on this. AISA 8-man tiebreakers. Look at the handy-dandy AISA handbook. Could be on page 23. So let's go to page 23, which is their football section. All right, let's see. Where are the tiebreakers? Because I just noticed this. Let's see. See, it's in section 5, A through I, and we're in section. Okay, here we go. So, tied 4-2. The team with the highest margin of points in the combined decisions versus the tied teams we selected. 1. Okay, so. Three-way tie there. So they use point differential as well. And it does not look like there is a... Okay, it does not look like there's a point differential in that one. So, again, this is if Macon East beats Cornerstone Christian Columbiana on Friday. Cornerstone, Springwood, Macon East would all be at 7-1. and they all beat each other. Springwood beat Macon East beat Cornerstone beat Springwood. So they use point differential, is what I'm picking up on this. Team with the highest margin of points in the combined decisions versus the tie teams will be selected. Okay, so we need to pull up the scores from all from the games played so far. Let's go to Springwood first. Sorry, I'm having a really nerd moment right now because I really want to figure this out. This is interesting. All right, there's Springwood. And it did not mention first half or a point differential cap. So CFA is first half points, first half point differential, and then the SEC is has a 20-point cap in those games. So, okay, so Springwood and Macon East, we talked about that game earlier. Springwood won by 31 there, so they would be plus 31. And then they lost to Cornerstone Christian Rainsville by 48 points. So they are negative 17 in that tiebreaker. And then, so Macon East would be, Macon East would be negative 31. And Cornerstone Columbiana would be plus, what did I say? That was 48 points. So plus 48. So Macon East would have to beat Cornerstone Christian Rainsville. They would have to beat them by 80 points. They would have to beat Cornerstone Rainsville by 80 points to get the number 1 seed. So, be that as it may, what will probably end up happening, if I go back real quick and look. I went too far. Hang on, let's see. So it says tiebreaker A1. Okay, so in that situation, Cornerstone would be 1, Macon East would be 2. Cornerstone would be 1, Springwood would be 2, Macon East would be 3. So even if Macon East wins on Friday, they can't get above the 3. Okay, so they're locked into the 3 spot. So Cornerstone has locked up number 1. Springwood's number 2. Okay, so it's okay. All right, that makes sense. Okay, yeah. So then let's see. The other one, Evangel, Lakeside, and Southern Prep. Well, let's save that for next week. Well, we talked about that. So Lakeside with a win that would stay at 5. Southern Prep beat Evangel and Lakeside, so they jumped to 4, and then Evangel would fall to 6. Okay, so there you go. So potentially your playoffs would be Cornerstone hosting either Meadowview or Coosa Valley, Springwood hosting Meadowview or Coosa Valley, Macon East hosting Southern Prep, and Evangel and Lakeside playing. So they'll play 2 weeks in a row here at the end of the season. Last week of the season, first week of the playoffs. All right, that's enough geeking out about the AISA. Let's keep it moving. Sorry, I got very distracted, very much so a squirrel moment on that one. Let's go to Virginia. Let's talk a little Virginia Independent School Athletic Association football real quick. I know I skipped over them. Let's go to Virginia. So Virginia has Division I and Division II. They take the top 4 teams from both divisions, and then 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3, and then those The winners of those games play for the D1 and D2 championship. So in D1, you have the Covenant School at 4-0, Virginia Episcopal School at 3-1, Christ Church School at 2-2, and then Rappahannock County at 2-2. Greenbrier Christian is at 1-3. Covenant School still has to play Greenbrier Christian, who is ranked, like I said, at number 5. Probably wouldn't be a win for them. Probably going to be at 5-0. Virginia Episcopal School at 3-1. They still have to play Rappahannock County, who is number 4. If they win that one, they go to 4-1. They lock up the number 2 seed. And then Christ Church School, well, they still lock up the VES. Still, it will be the number 2 seed because they beat Christ Church School, who's playing Chincoteague. And then winning that game would put them at 3-2. Virginia Episcopal losing would put them at 3-2, but they still hold the head-to-head in that one over Christ Church School. Now, if Covenant School gets upset by Greenbrier Christian, they go to 4-1. Virginia Episcopal would be 4-1 with a win over Rappahannock County. But Covenant School beat Virginia Episcopal in the regular season, so they held the head-to-head. So they would stay at the 1. They're pretty much locked in at the 1. Virginia Episcopal School pretty much locked in at the 2. Yes. No, they're not. So if... Well, this is interesting. So you got Virginia Episcopal School at 3-1, Christ Church School at 2-2, Rappahannock County at 2-2. If Rappahannock County can beat Virginia Episcopal School, they go to 3-2. VES would be 3-2, and then Christ Church School with a win over Chincoteague would also be 3-2. Christ Church School, I believe they beat Rappahannock County. Rappahannock would have the win over VES, and VES lost to Christ Church. So I'm sorry, they beat Covenant School, beat Christ Church. So another 3-way tie. 3-way ties everywhere. You get a 3-way tie. You get a 3-way tie. So could get very interesting in the VISAA. And I'll have to look into the tiebreakers there. I don't think we can double check. Probably going to be point differential, though. So we have an old set of rules. I don't want to go off an old set of rules. So let's hold off on that until we see if we can for sure figure out what's going on. Just know it could get interesting between the number 2 seed and the number 4 seed. If Rappahannock County can beat Virginia Episcopal, Christ Church School beats Chincoteague, they would all be 3-2 VES, Christ Church School, and Rappahannock County. Now I mentioned Greenbrier Christian sitting at number 5. They're 1-3 with a win over the Covenant School. Kind of unlikely, but if that were to happen, that would make everything so much better. They would actually, well, though they lost to Rappahannock County, so they would still be out, but they could make it very interesting. No, because Covenant would be locked in at 1. Well, there you go. So, what we're really keeping an eye on there on D1 is if Rappahannock County, Rapp County, and VES, keeping an eye on that one. Because if Rapp County wins, 2 through 4 will be tied at 3-2 in conference play, and they all beat each other. VES beat Christ Church School. Christ Church School beat Rapp County, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, let me verify that before I misspeak. Rapp County, Christ Church School did beat Rapp County. So VS beat Christchurch. Christchurch beat Rapp County. And then Rapp County over VS. So, yeah, there would be another three-way tie between 2 and 4. So, let me dig into the playoff, the tiebreakers. Could be point differential, and if so, we'll talk about it next week. Let's jump to VISAA D2. Southampton at 4-0. They have Blessed Sacrament Huguenot coming up. They are the number 1 seed. Brunswick Academy 3-1. They are hosting. They've got a game against Broadwater Academy. Kinston Forest at 2-2. They are the 3 seed. With a game against Fuqua coming up. Fuqua. Blessed Sacrament Huguenot at 4 has a game against Southampton coming up, and then Broadwater Academy at 1-3 with a game against Brunswick Academy. So, Southampton, if Brunswick can beat Broadwater Academy, if Southampton were to lose to Blessed Sacrament Huguenot, I believe Southampton beat Brunswick. Let me double check. Let me go to Southampton Academy's schedule. Earlier this season, Southampton beat Brunswick 40-25. So even with a loss, Southampton will stay at 1, Brunswick at 2 if they win. Kinston Forest, Blessed Sacrament Huguenot, if they can win against number 1 seed Southampton, it still does not really work out for them. Due to, let me go to BSH's schedule. Let's see. Kinston Forest won that game 22-20. It was a close one. So if BSH can beat Southampton, go to 3-2. Kinston Forest is probably going to win against Fuqua. They're the number 6 or 7. They're a little bit down the rankings. So both of them would be 3-2, and then Kinston Forest wants a 3rd seed. Brunswick Academy. Three and 2. I think Brunswick beat Kinston Forest and BSH. Let me double check that. Let's see. Where's Brunswick? Brunswick Academy. There. So Brunswick beat Kinston Forest 54-30, and they also beat Blessed Sacrament Huguenot 55-14. So Brunswick should have that number 2 seed locked in, and then Kinston Forest beat BSH. So Kinston Forest would have the 3. What's probably going to happen is BSH, it'll be tough for them to win that game against Southampton. If they lose, though, and Brunswick beats Broadwater, then BSH will be 4, Kinston Forest 3, Brunswick at 2, Southampton at 1, and then you'll have BSH at Southampton again for the 2nd week in a row, and then Kinston Forest at Brunswick. That'll be very, very interesting. All right, let's see. So that's Virginia. That's the VISAA. Let me grab a drink real quick. Really getting in the weeds with these playoff scenarios and the brackets. I love it. I'm a nerd for this kind of stuff. Absolutely love it. So, let's go to South Carolina. Let's talk about the SIFA. So, mentioned Pack Panthers with a win over GSIC. They're 4-0, and they have a game against Coastal Hurricanes coming up this weekend. GSIC, so they're number one. GSIC is number 2 at 4-1. Augusta Eagles at 3-2 are at number 3, and then the Coastal Hurricanes are at number 4. They're 2-2, and they got the game against Pack coming up. Coastal and Augusta. Let me see who won that game. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was Augusta, but I don't want to misspeak. Yes, it was Augusta, 44-28. So those playoffs are pretty much set. Because even if Pack loses to Coastal, they still hold the head-to-head over GSIC. And then if Coastal beats Pack in a universe, I don't think Pack will struggle, but I'm not going to get into predictions. Anything can happen on a Friday night. Coastal would be 3-2. Augusta would be 3-2, but Augusta holds the head-to-head. So the playoffs are pretty much locked in there in SIFA. The amount of teams playing each other the last week of the season and then playing each other the first round of the playoffs is just wild. Just wild to me. So Coastal Hurricanes would play Pack again. I'm actually kind of curious if that game's let's see. Is the game Friday at Pack or Coastal? It is at Pack. So Coastal will have to travel twice to play Pack. Back-to-back weeks. Last week of the regular season and then first week of the playoffs. And then Augusta Eagles. Hey, listen. We're going to get Augusta Eagles and GSIC again. You know that 6-0 game from a couple weeks ago, right? Yeah, we're going to get that again in the playoffs. I love it. That is chef's kiss. Love it. That'll be a fun one. That'll be a lot of fun. I love it. All right. Let's look at Skisa real quick. So top 4 from each region will cross play first, fourth to get to the final 2. Okay, so let's do this. I believe they're coming up on the last week of a regular season play for Skisa. Let's look up the Cathedral Academy, because that will take us to a region. Oh, that might have been a mistake. I should have typed in Cathedral Academy. Oh, nope, there we go. North Charleston, South Carolina. Well, was that the right one? Hold on. Yes, that was the right one. All right. Whew. Thought I picked the wrong Cathedral Academy. Let's see. Let's pull up their rankings. And I think Skisa has 2 8-man regions. Yes, they do. They have 2 8-man regions. So, what we're looking at right now it's a little confusing. I'll tell you what, I'm going to save us a little bit of time. I'm going to run through. Let's see, what time is it? So it was top 4 from each region. So it looks like in the playoffs in Region 2, you're going to have Jefferson Davis Academy, Holly Hill Academy, Cathedral Academy, and the Kings Academy in the playoffs. Holly Hill, it only has it 3-0 in region play. Let's see. So they beat Kings Academy, they beat Conway, they beat Cross, lost to JDA. So they did not play Holly Hill. do some digging on this because I don't want to waste y'all's time while I'm trying to do research during the show. Maybe we'll do some graphics. How about that? Maybe we'll put some graphics out during the week. All right. So, did I miss any of the conferences? Of course, you got Heartland Christian Athletic Conference, North Carolina Independent School Athletic Association, and the GIAA. Maybe do a special show. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So that's some of the playoff scenarios, some of the conferences. Some of these I did not get a chance to break down the standings and if I didn't get to your conference, I deeply apologize. It's not that I don't care at all in any way, shape, or form. Just ran out of time. Ran out of time trying to do life. You know what I mean? So we will definitely run through these playoffs because some of the playoffs should be locked in next week, if I'm not mistaken. So I will prioritize running through these playoffs real quick next week. We'll get these locked in. I do want to touch on one other conference here in Tennessee, the Southeastern Extreme Conference. Playoffs are locked in that conference. So what you've got there is the Freedom Cowboys and South Haven Christian. Freedom's the number 1 seed. South Haven is the number 2. So they get first round byes. Tennessee Heat, they're the number 3 seed, and they will host the Chattanooga Patriots, who are the number 6. And then, I guess we could have talked about this when we talk about the games coming up. But and then Christian Community will host Lancaster Christian. So let's run through the games coming up. Let's see. Max Prep's deciding to act up on me here. Oh, another one I want to hit real quick. I touched base on it a little bit when I was talking about the scores and from this past weekend. The ACEL in Louisiana, Association of Christian Educators of Louisiana. So JPG beat North Shore this past Thursday, actually. And then Acadiana Christian beat SWLA. Those two will play in the championship. Well, it kind of leads into the games upcoming this weekend. So those two will play in the championship on Saturday. And I don't know which field they'll play it out, but I know it will be broadcasted. I'm fairly positively broadcasted. And as soon as we find the link for that, find out where you can watch that, definitely push that out. Give y'all a chance to watch some Louisiana 8-man football. And, of course, JPG, 2 wins over Acadiana. Acadiana's 2 losses were to JPG this season. So they get a third crack at them. And this one's for the title. That's huge. It doesn't happen very often. So love to see it. And like I said, as soon as we get a link and find out where to watch it, we'll definitely be pushing that out this week, maybe on Saturday. That way everybody can watch a little 8-man football from Louisiana on Saturday night. Let's go to Georgia. Let's run through Georgia. Region 1 upcoming this Friday night. John Hancock Academy at Holy Spirit Prep. John Hancock looking for their first win of the year. All these games being played on Friday. Monsignor Donovan Catholic, they are at Covenant Academy. Harvester Christian and Westminster Christian. I didn't get to talk about the GIAA playoffs, but this is a huge one in Region 1. Harvester and Westminster, both at 7-1. It's a big matchup. Westminster Schools of Augusta, 5-0. They are at St. Mary's, who are 2-7. Westminster unbeaten. Harvester and Westminster Christian. Those 3 teams pretty much at the top of Region 1. Let's go to Region 2 in the GIAA. Coming up on Thursday, Fullington Academy is at Vidalia Heritage. Fullington 5-3 at Vidalia Heritage, who is 4-2. On Friday, you have Memorial Day at David Emmanuel. Memorial Day at 2-6. David Emmanuel at 2-4. Crisp Academy 1-7. They are at Georgia Christian, who is 8-0. So unbeaten in region play, and then just overall unbeaten. Baker County is 1-4. They are at Westwood Academy, who is 6-2, and then Grace Christian at 1-7. They are at Sherwood Christian, who is 6-0 on the season. Let's go to Tennessee. Talked a little bit about the games coming up this weekend. So you have Lancaster Christian at Christian Community for number 5 seed at the number 4 seed. They did play there earlier this year. Christian Community won that one. Chattanooga Patriots on the road at the Tennessee Heat. Chattanooga is the 6 seed. Heat is the 3 seed. They played a couple weeks ago. Heat beat Chattanooga. And then, let's see, coming up on Friday, it's just those 2 games in Seek. There you go. Let's jump to Kansas Christian Athletic Conference. 2 games scheduled for Friday. Northland Christian at 2-5. They are at the KC East Lions, who are 1-7. And then Faith Academy 3-1. They are at Life Prep, who is 3-3. Let's go to the Heartland Christian Athletic Conference coming up on the end of their season. Arkansas Christian on the road at Unity Christian. Arkansas Christian at 5-3, having a good season so far. LeBeau High School, I'm kind of curious where are they out of. Kansas. So LeBeau or Lebo at Sunrise Christian, who's 6-2. Crossover Prep at Claremore Christian. Crossover Prep 1-5. Claremore Christian at 6-2. And then Abundant Life. This is a huge rivalry game. Abundant Life 6-0. They are out at Southwest Christian, who is 3-4. And then on Saturday, Trinity Christian at 1-6, scheduled to go and play Destiny Christian, who is 4-3 on the season. Let's go to Florida. We've got games 4 out of 5 nights this week. On Monday, Geneva Academy. They are at All Saints Academy. Geneva at 5-3. All Saints at 500, 2-2. Cornerstone Academy. They are at First Coast Christian, who is looking for their second win of the year. Hernando Christian 4-3. They're at Shorecrest Prep, who is 4-0. And then Lake Mary Prep at 4-4. They are at Liberty Christian Prep, who is 0-7. On Tuesday, Calvary Chapel Academy, 4-4. They are at Merritt Island Christian, who is 8-0 on the season. On Wednesday, Countryside Christian, they are at Florida School for the Deaf and Blind, who are unbeaten, by the way. The Silent Dragons from FSDB, unbeaten on the season. And then on Friday, a whole slew of games. That's a lot of games. Let's run through it. Four Corners at Eastland Christian, Real Life Christian at Geneva, Cornerstone Academy at Countryside Christian. So they're playing 2 games this week. Geneva playing 2 games as well. Riverside Christian at First Coast Christian, 2 games for First Coast. Masters Academy at Calvary's Chapel. Calvary Chapel playing 2 games. Masters Academy, by the way, 7-1. 7-1 this season. Foundation Christian at Donahue Catholic. Both teams at 6-2 coming into this game. City of Life Christian at 0-8. They are at Merritt Island Christian. So 2 games for them. Merritt Island at 8-0. Merritt Island playing on Tuesday. Hernando Christian 4-3. They are at Academy at the Lakes. They are 3-4. This game being played on Friday. Cornerstone Academy at Countryside Christian. So they're playing 2 games this week, Cornerstone and Countryside. So Cornerstone playing, on Monday. Let's see. Gainesville Christian Community. They're supposed to play St. John Lutheran. We'll see if that happens. Geneva Classical at 7-2. They are at Babcock. Oasis Christian looking for their first win. They are hosting the Classical Academy of Sarasota, who is looking for their first win. So somebody is going to get that first dub of the season. Tampa Slam, they are at Lake Mary Prep. Slam is 2-5. Lake Mary Prep 4-4. And then Ocala Christian at Ocala Christian at 9-0. They are hosting Liberty Christian Prep. Canterbury at 6-1, hosting Lakeside Christian. So all those games happening on Friday. Should be some good ones. Let's go to Alabama. Let's talk about the ACSC. One game coming up. Mentioned this earlier. Southern Christian at the Lighthouse Warriors to close out the regular season. Southern Christian at 5-2. Lighthouse 1-7. AISA on Friday. Whole slew of games. We talked about it when we talked about the playoffs. Some huge implications coming up this weekend. North River Christian at Springwood School. North River winless on the season so far. Lakeside School at Evangel Christian. They will probably rematch next week, more than likely. Lakeside at 3-5 overall. Evangel Christian at 4-4 overall on the season. Coosa Valley 1-7. They are at Meadowview Christian, who is 2-6 overall, 1-7 in conference. Let's see. Coosa Valley and Meadowview. Meadowview is 1-6 in conference play. Coosa Valley is 1-6 in conference play. Meadowview 2-6 overall on the season though. Cornerstone Christian Columbiana 8-0. They are at Macon East Academy, who is 6-1 overall in the season. And then Stewart County High School, they are supposed to be at Southern Prep, who is currently 4-5 overall, 4-4 in conference play. So overall, though, 4-5, they could get to 500 this upcoming weekend. In the CFA, the Christian Football Association, on Friday, two playoff games happening. Cornerstone Christian Rainsville, they are at Jacksonville Christian, who is unbeaten in conference play. They are 7-2 overall. Cornerstone Christian 3-3 on the season. The other playoff game is Tuscaloosa Christian at Russell Christian. Not a lot of these two teams are actually pretty close. I think they're like 45 minutes away between Meridian and Tuscaloosa. Tuscaloosa on the west side of Alabama. So that game, the winner of that one and the winner of Cornerstone Christian and Jacksonville Christian will play for the CFA championship. Jump to South Carolina real quick. Oakbrook Prep at 0-7. They are at Wardlaw Academy, who is 6-1. Conway Christian 0-7. They are supposed to be, or 0-8 rather. They're supposed to be at Cathedral Academy 7-2. We'll see if that game gets played. The Kings Academy 4-4. They are at Jefferson Davis Academy, who is 8-1. Holly Hill at 7-1. They are at Cross, who is 1-7. Richard Wynn Academy at 7-0. They are taking on Lawrence Academy, who is 6-2. And then WW King Academy at 1-6. They are at Newberry Academy, who is 2-5. So somebody's going to be 2-6 when they walk out. Somebody's going to be 3. No, let me back up. Newberry could be 2-6, or they could be 3-5, and then King could be 2-6, or they could be 1-7. So, chance for King to pick up a win. WW King Academy to pick up a win there. Let's go to the SIFA. 3 games being played this upcoming weekend. 2 games. Carolina Wildcats having to forfeit their season due to player injuries. They were supposed to host Harvest Christian. I don't know, that game might happen. Coastal Hurricanes, we talked about that. They are at the Pack Panthers. They'll probably rematch again next week as well. And then the Augusta Eagles, supposed to be on the road to take on Victory Christian. Augusta Eagles at 6-4 on the season. And then let's see. Nope, that's the second. Okay. So that's at least 2 games on Friday in the SIFA, maybe 3. We'll have to see. And then let's see. Let's go back to Max Preps first. Let's go to North Carolina. Talk a little North Carolina 8-man. On Thursday, Berean Baptist at 0-6. They are at Faith Christian, who is 6-3. On Friday, a whole slew of games. Father Capodanno 0-9. They're at Halifax Academy. Orindel Parrott and Wayne Christian. This will be for the regular season championship, or the conference championship. And then state playoffs will start next week, is my understanding. But Orindel Parrott at 8-1, and then Wayne Christian at 6-1. JP2 5-3. They are at Liberty Christian, who is 2-6. Cary Christian at 6-1. They are at St. David's, who is 4-4. So some good gameplay coming up on Friday in North Carolina. Let's go to Mississippi. The playoffs for the Mid-South Christian Football League should be starting. And if I'm not mistaken, let me see if I can pull up the standings real quick. Let's see. Look up the Magnolia Wildcats. Let's look up their conference. So it would be Slidell Homeschool Saints at Family Christian or Faith Christian Homeschool, and then the Pine Belt Spartans at the Magnolia Wildcats. Would be my understanding. So yeah, so Pine Belt at Magnolia and Slidell at Faith Christian Homeschool. Let's see. Well, while we're in Mississippi, let's talk about the MAIS real quick. So let's start with the 1A division. Coming up, Kemper Academy at Calhoun Academy. Hebron Christian at Humphreys Academy. Humphreys Academy at 7-1. Hebron at 1-8. Tunica Academy on the road at Marvell, who just got their first win of the year. Tunica's 5-1. Christian Collegiate at 3-5. They are at Franklin Academy. Wilkinson County Christian at Briarfield Academy. Tallulah at Claiborne. And then Tensas Academy at Riverdale Academy. And this is the last week of regular season play there in the state of Mississippi in the MAIS. Let's jump over to Region 2A. Let's see, any games we didn't mention. Prairie View Academy at Porter's Chapel. Delta Streets supposed to be at Ben's Ford Christian. Let's see if that one happens. Columbus Christian at Deer Creek. Lee Academy at Delta Academy. North Sunflower Hillcrest Christian. Silva Bay at Prentice Christian. And Park Place Christian at Newton County. And a couple teams off this week as I look at it. I didn't see River Oaks on there. Looks like they've got a bye week maybe. Let's see. Let's go to Virginia. We talked about Virginia's bracket a little bit. On Thursday, Kinston Forest and Fuqua. That game has a lot of implications in Division 2. Yes, Division 2. On Friday, Randolph-Macon is at Fishburne Military. Greenbrier Christian is at the Covenant School. We talked about that one. Christ Church School is at Chincoteague. And Southampton is at Blessed Sacrament Huguenot. Southampton with a chance to, they have locked up the number 1 seed. And then on Saturday, Rappahannock County at Virginia Episcopal School, Brunswick Academy at Broadwater Academy, and Quantico at Massanutten Military Academy. Nailed it. Boom. Got it. Anyways, MMA. I said we might call them MMA. There you go. Now that we're through Mississippi, mentioned on Saturday, Acadiana Christian and JPG, John Paul the Great, they will play for the ACEL Championship. And as soon as we get a link, get some info on that, we'll push that out this week so that we can watch some Louisiana 8-man football on Saturday. Would love to see that. And that's if you can pull yourself away from, whatever college game you might be watching. Respectfully. Which if it's not SEC football, you're wasting your time. But regardless. And then, let's talk about the Mason-Dixon Conference real quick. 2 games scheduled there. Supposed to be happening. Arkansas School for the Deaf is supposed to be at Mississippi School for the Deaf. I don't know that Mississippi's played games this year. And then Minnesota State Academy for the Deaf. They are supposed to be at Tennessee School for the Deaf, TSD at 2-3 on the season. I guess it'd be MSAD would be, they are 0-6. Minnesota coming out of Faribault, Minnesota, they are the Trojans. It's a pretty sick logo, actually. Let's see, Washington School for the Deaf is a team they've played. Wow, so Minnesota went to Vancouver, Washington, and played Washington School for the Deaf. They lost that one. They played at Kansas, lost that one. At Arkansas, they lost, and at Oklahoma, they lost. Looks like they played Siren, maybe Siren High School. Sorry, in Wisconsin. So maybe an 8-man team out of Wisconsin. Boy, Minnesota Academy for the Deaf has been on the road. Well, they hosted Oklahoma School for the Deaf, and then they went to Arkansas, Kansas, and Washington State, and then they're going to Tennessee. Sorry, I got super distracted on that one. I love the world of School for the Deaf football. I think it's super, super interesting. Anyways, well, that's enough bunny trails, and I am just realizing I never changed the screen back. So let's do that real quick. Actually, be that one right there. And I think that does it. A lot of football coming up. Going to be a lot of fun. Playoffs are here. Championship games here. We talked about that a couple minutes ago. Last game of the week. Last game of the regular season for a lot of conferences. That's coming up as well. So it'll be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Go catch a game. Regular season is either over or almost over in a lot of places. You're running out of chances to go support these young men. Can't say it enough. Can't stress it enough. You got to go support these young men. A big thank you to Complete Real Estate, where experience and integrity matters, for sponsoring the show. A big thank you all season long. A big thank you to Sutton Pools LLC for sponsoring the interviews all season long with 8-man coaches and people around the game of 8-man football. A big thank you to Fairlife Core Power Protein for helping us recognize athletes every single week. And a big thank you to you for listening to the show, listening to me ramble for the last hour and a half. If you did that, go buy yourself a Coke. Go reward yourself, all right? Can't say that enough. Until next week, we will talk playoffs, more playoffs. We'll talk more football, championship games. It'll all be there. Until next week, see ya!